Today on the CEO Barbecue, we'll be looking for gold in Colombia together with Quimbaya Gold. For a bullet point summary of this and all other CEO interviews, please go to resourcetalks.com and subscribe to our free weekly newsletter. The company you're about to hear from has paid us for the production of this interview, but this interview is still intended only for experienced speculators because this is venture capital and mining is a very risky industry where failure is the norm. All conversations are general and impersonal in nature, and they contain forward-looking statements. I'm not a licensed financial advisor, and my business sells content-producing services, which also makes me biased. So before continuing on, please talk to an independent investment advisor with a good long-term track record because your capital is at risk, and also visit setterplus.ca where you'll find the company's official filings. If you're not 100% sure you understand all the biases and the disclaimers that I just showed you, please go to the last section of this video and do not consume this content unless you fully understand and agree with everything said herein. That all said, Quimbaya has assembled a big land position in a historically important and high-grade gold district next to a few operating mines, and they're now essentially looking to find the extension of those mines, or maybe even find new structures through the use of modern mapping, geophysics, drilling, and so on. Of course, all things that we'll be talking about. The flagship asset is called Tahami, and it's in the Segovia district of Colombia, so it is right next door to Aris mining. They recently drilled it, and essentially they're back on the barbecue today to discuss exactly those results. Now, I'm not doing a full company overview here, though, because again, Alexandra and Dr. Stewart were on the barbecue about 9 months ago, and we already did a deep dive on Quimbaya itself. So I'm going to list that video in the description of this one. If you haven't watched that, please do, because that's where we did a deep dive on the project, as well as the infamous smell test, where we talked about insider alignment, incentives, management background, and so on and so forth, as well as the risks and everything else that comes with the exploration business on top of that as well. Just briefly on the numbers, Quimbaya is listed as KIM, so that's QIM on the CSE, where the average 3-month volume is about 340,000 shares. The stock's 52-week high is $1.07, and its 52-week low is 31 cents. With a market cap of just over 30 million Canadian dollars and just over 81 million shares outstanding, today this is a 30-cent stock with a 50 and a 200-day moving average at respectively 46 and 54 cents, which means the stock is now trading below both of them. Again, for the rest of the details, share structure and whatnot, go and watch that previous interview because it is finally time for me to shut up. And gentlemen, I'll give you the word here. But first of all, thank you for sitting down with me today.
Yeah, thank you, Antonio, for having us. It's a good timing for us to come talk with you and giving more details to the public about what we're doing.
I agree. It is good timing. Specifically, I really want to talk about that first pass drill program that you did, which it was announced about a month ago now. And judging by the price action and the volume on the day of announcement, the market didn't quite like it. So talk to me about that. What did you drill? Why didn't the market like it?
Yeah, so first of all, if we look at our neighbor Aris mining, they have an average of reserve of 10 grams per ton approximately of gold. And also the resources, they're at 16. It's always changing, depends on their calculation on the way. So our thesis was we have the extension of their vein system. Why we said that, but basically we look where they mine and we took the orientation of their vein system and we projected into our asset. We did our work, preliminary work, right? LiDAR, geochem, things like that. And basically we went to test the system. So our first goal was to test that can we hit the veins? So that's what we have done with the 5,000 meters. The good news is we have hit the veins at many part of the title, which is going northeast. So 2 vein system, we call it, one is S, so it's 1.6 kilometers, and V, it's 2.2 kilometers. So that's the good part, like even south of the title, in the middle of the title, and at the north of the title, we hit the vein. The second good thing, it's the average hit, it's approximately 1 meter. And if you study our neighbor and you put it in ChatGPT, if it's too complicated, but you can see that the signature veins in Segovia, the average, it's 1.2 meters. So that we're happy with that. Where I think the market and the public has been, let's say, they were not happy, and I totally get it. I think they were looking for more high grade, let's say. So we have hit 1 meters up to 9.8 grams per ton of gold equivalent, and also 1 meters at 9 grams per gold per ton equivalent. So that's good. But for sure, as a business, and if we look at our neighbor, we wish to find the ore shoots, which it's part of the veins that they are more high grade. So if we look at Aris mining, they have hit up to 800 grams per ton, 200 grams per ton. But if you look at all their holes, they have similar holes like ours too. So the challenge right now is to find more high grade gold zone or silver. And but I will say that the signature, which is the gold, the silver, the zinc, the lead, and the width, it's exactly the same as we see to our neighbor. So we're happy with that. I think it has been misunderstood also by the public, because if you only look at the factor metals, right, meters by the grade, you can see like who has the best results on the planet every week. And if you look at a deposit type like veins like us, it's not the sexiest one. But if you understand the business side of it, which is a cash cow for Aris Mining, which they are $5.4 billion market cap, like our neighbor is producing for 1 billion a year of gold. And it's the model. It's 1 meters width with high grade zone and low grade zone, and the average it's 10 grams. So that part of the business, maybe it didn't be well understood by the investor, I think.
Well, the stock did have quite a big run before that, though. Going back to, again, early 2025, it was about 30 cents, and it then hit a high of, again, $1.07. Do you think the expectations were set wrong, or why did the market value it as high as it was nearly $100 million market cap at the high? And that was before the assays.
Yeah, I think you're right. The expectation was very high, right? It's normal. Like our neighbor has run, they are doing very well. So people were looking to a big discovery, which we have a discovery, but I will call it a normal discovery. Also, why the stock went up, I will say that we have identified a porphyry system, which it's pretty rare. Right? It's you don't find that everywhere. And the other thing, what is good, we are only exploring 1,200 hectares over a portfolio of 66,000 hectares. So I think we have run because all our peers and all our neighbors has run a lot. First, gold go up. Second, the producers go up. Third, the advanced project exploration go up. Us were the early stage opportunity in Colombia. So everybody got finance, like I was saying, around 250 million between September and November last year in Colombia. So I think we have run. Also, why there is a correction, like the expectation was higher, and also we have to understand the capital market. We went to finance 14.4 million bought deal at 70 cents with a half warrant at $1, sorry, which part of it, unfortunately, sometimes it's allocated to hedge funds, which they want to clip the warrant. So it's giving a big pressure on the selling. So a mix of the live financing, a mix of not having the result that we're expecting, put kind of snowball effect negatively, like oversold, which for us, like we can talk about it, but even the insiders are buying at this price. We think it's a great opportunity. But I think that's what happened.
I do want to know more about that, but people listening should also want to know more about Tara Hutton, who doesn't only make the invisible investable, but they've made this video free of YouTube ads by sponsoring it. Tara Hutton is built for the people who are tired of going through boring PowerPoint decks and geological jargon when they're analyzing mining companies. It's a digital platform where the data, the story, and the context sit together so mining investors can use visuals to understand the why without needing a geology degree or a week off work. And if you're on the company side, it's a great way to present your project like a serious operator with everything investors keep asking for in one place. Contact them at terrahutton.io. But just from the language that I'm hearing here, it doesn't sound like you're going to be switching your focus here. You don't believe the target is killed. You still think there's more left there. Is that right?
Yes. So the good thing is Dr. Stewart with us has worked at 14 years for Grand Colombia Gold, now Aris Mining. So Dr. Stewart, he knows this type of deposit. I will let him talk after, but just saying that us, we have studied Aris Mining Segovia deposit. And if you look their type of deposit, yesterday I was analyzing 50,000 assays from their Sandraka vein system. And they have the main vein and they have secondary veins. And for us, it's not a killer project. It's a good news what we have. We all agree that we will have to have high grade gold hits to be more sexy. We all agree on that. But the project is not dead at all. We have artisanal miners. The veins are there. And the gold, the mineralization is there too. Like Dr. Stewart was on the field, and the hit with the silver, it's a $2,000 rock, right? So it's economically. So and the other thing, like we think that the porphyry has a bigger potential over valorization. It's bigger. On that, I will let Dr. Stewart maybe say what does he think about the hit we had, and if the project is kill or it's an opportunity, or what we should think about it.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, no, first of all, the veins, the project was a success in achieving encountering the veins. There were no veins known on the property. On surface, we identified some, but they don't outcrop much. So one of the main objectives of the drill program was to prove the continuity and to determine the continuity of veins onto the property, and that was achieved. There's a number of gold hits, there's some very high silver hits in the veins, which is what in the eastern part of the Segovia property, the veins tend to be rich in silver as well as gold. Important thing to understand in the Segovia properties, the grades in the veins are not uniform. The high grades are concentrated in ore shoots, which have a certain control, and they can be quite, maybe 100, 200 meters wide. They can be quite narrow, but that's where most of the production comes from. So now that the next phase, now that we've identified where veins are, we've only got one or two hits in each one. The next phase is to work out the geometry, and then to do some infill drilling to target where the higher grade ore shoots are. That will be the next phase. So the project is very much alive in our opinion.
When do you go back to drilling it?
Right now, we're doing IP ground and mag geophysics at Tahami South. Okay, we're expecting to receive the result in the next month, and we're looking to start drilling again in April this year. So basically six weeks approximately.
Okay. Out of that, what, 14.5, I think, $million finance. How much money do you have left right now?
Now we have around 12 million Canadian.
Okay. How far is that going to get you?
So from our plan, we are looking with this 12 million to be able to drill and to explore until Q1 next year, which, let's say, February, March. Also, we're expecting there is 11 million warrants at 40 cents, which the expiration is December, next February and next March, let's say. So it's another 4.4 million. What I like with this warrants, it's half of it, it's me and the drilling company, which they are partners. There is a drilling company drilling for shares. So, I mean, it's in LT hands, I like to say, but that should give us another 4.4 million. If it's the case, we should be able to go until Q2 next year with the money that we have. All that can change because if we find a horseshoe with the veins, or the porphyry, it's very positive, the result, we always have the choice to accelerate and bring more rigs and accelerate the campaign.
Yeah, that's fair. So no immediate need to raise capital, but you would be opportunistic if you have the opportunity. That makes sense. You do have a free trading date coming at the end of a month, maybe, I believe, for the $14.5 million financing. Any plan? How are you going to deal with that? Or what are the expectations there?
It was a live financing, so it has been, let's say,
Okay.
free from the November 4th, 5. The good news, I'm looking at the trading. In January this year, we have traded 15 million shares, which it's approximately 20% of our float, of all the outstanding shares. In Quimbaya, we're still, let's say, there is a big position with the insiders, management, board, and strategic partnership. So we're around 46%. That said, if we have trade 20%, we're at 66. So maybe there's 33% left. A lot of people paid higher than this price. But what I'm seeing, and in this live financing, we have bring a precedent list of 4 million. So the real, let's say, external financing was 10 million, which includes some mining funds that they are there for long term. That said, how I see the trade, we were trading like a couple of weeks ago at VRIC 3 million shares in one day. And right now we're more around 100,000, 200,000. I feel that the people that they wanted to sell is dry from this live financing.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it was a live financing. I was wrong on thinking that the trading date was coming up. So thank you for pointing that out. I think that's enough housekeeping. I want to talk about some of the specifics here on the drilling. You talked about essentially two distinct vein systems, right? So vein S and vein V. And Dr. Stewart, I guess this is where you come in, but so they've got different orientations and metal signatures as well. What's the full vein set framework, if you will? Like how many vein sets do you think exist or will find over time? And what I'm really looking for here, of course, is like which ones are mineralized, and how confident are you that the S and V are not kind of just the same system rotated or maybe offset by faults?
No, they're separate veins. They occur separate in the map, and there are other indications of veins which we haven't got continuity on yet. So I expect there will be more veins in the system, but the S and the V are the continuation of two of the veins from Segovia property. So the next step is to start to define better the geometry of those veins and where to find where the ore shoots are with the higher grade gold in them.
Mm-hmm. They're pretty narrow, though, and I mean, just looking at the initial results, do you think there could be? I mean, do they kind of pinch and swell? Was this just a spot where they pinched? Do you think they would get bigger? What's the thesis there?
1 meter's fairly average for the district, but the veins do tend to pinch and swell, yes. Or sometimes they're structurally thickened.
Yeah, so also maybe to help you, Antonio, and the people that are listening to us, let's say I have been into veins, tunnel underground, and it's not rare to see, let's say 30 centimeters, you walk a little more far and it's open up at 1 meters, 1.5 meters, but it pitch and swell. Also, what we think, we have to understand right now, we just have explored this title, Tahami South, which is the low-hanging fruit for us because it's continuous to Aris. So it's 300 hectares over the portfolio of 66,000 hectares. If we look at Segovia, we have 24,000 hectares, 700. That said, we have two veins on Tahami South identified for now. But with all the portfolio in Segovia, let's say if we look at Tahami North, the northest one that we had asset, we have 4 historical mines with a trend veins northwest. So there is other veins there. In Tahami Center, we have artisanal miners. There is veins there too. So we're looking to define way more, let's say, veins over time. But right now we have focus on Tahami South because in our point of view, there is the geology, but if we think about business, if we're continuous to a producer, it's if we hit and we hit and we hit, it's a very great possibility to become a formalization program to mine there or even to become a producer ourselves. So that's why we have focused there for the moment.
You, Dr. Suit, you said it's the average is about a meter. Is that true width for you, or what would the true width be for the hits that you had announced?
They'd be pretty close to true width, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just to add, one of the questions I've had from investors, some of the hits are very deep. Why so deep? And that's partly logistics of where you can actually get the drill rig to. It's pretty mountainous terrain, so sometimes you can't set up close to the vein. You have to set up a distance back and drill from a distance. That's why the intersections are deep. Other cases, the holes have been designed to drill a vein at shallow level and hit a second vein at a greater depth with one hole. So those veins will continue to surface. It's not that they'll start at that depth. It's a function of the design to hit multiple veins, and partly logistics of where you can actually get a drill pad and get a drill rig into. That's the explanation for that.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, if you look at the grades and in your description as well of the different veins, so vein S is described as silver dominant with quartz carbonate and galena sulfides, while vein V, that's where your gold is, but there's silver in there as well. So there's gold, silver, lead, and zinc, and there's anomalous zinc up to 0.2%. What's the thesis of zoning here? And like, are S and V different levels in the epithermal system, different events, different structural positions? Yeah, what's the case?
Well, first of all, the base metals, the lead and the zinc, are typical of Segovia. Those veins, they actually now produce as a subproduct concentrates of lead zinc. In the past, they didn't produce them, but they're typical of the veins. So they're not simply gold only veins. They occur with base metal sulfides, and where you get high grades of base metal sulfide, you often get high grades of gold associated with that as well. Regarding the zoning, these are two separate veins. It's a bit early to say on limited drill data just what the zoning is. There's a it's a bit early to say what the zoning is, but it's something that we're looking at to see what vectors it can give us to designing the next phase of drilling.
What about nugget effect and maybe representativity here, given Segovia style systems can have extreme grade variability where any of these high silver, high grade gold intervals, like if you reassay them with metallic screen or large sample mass, are we? Yeah, what about that? I mean, there's just too many things kind of going through my head here. But what about the nugget effect? Is that a thing, and how are you going to deal with that within your exploration?
It actually tends not to be in my experience in Segovia, is not a big problem. Where we did metallics assays there, they came back pretty much the same, even though there's the gold is generally fine as opposed to coarse splashy gold. We haven't done it on the samples from Tahami yet. It's something we should do, but it's not a as I say, in my experience, it's not a big issue at Segovia.
Yeah.
The veins are variable, though. Having said that, the same sample is repeatable, but you can drill or sample a few meters away, and it can be low grade. The key is to find as I said, the key is to find the ore shoots where the high grades are concentrated.
Yeah. That ore shoot, what is it? What structural feature controls it? And talk to me about that first.
It's usually controlled by a later structure, so we need to identify that.
Yeah.
The vein formed first, and then the quartz vein, and then the sulfides and the gold came in at a later fluid, and it's usually a structural control. So that's what we're looking to see to define if we've got any vectors that indicate that control.
So would there be like a fault offset or a vein split or something?
It's more subtle than that. It's not simply an offset or it's more of a later structural event. So it's not an obvious thing to pick up until you're actually into the ore chute.
What would be an example though? Like what would be a later structural event look like? What would that be?
Like folding of the vein or something like that, where you've got the veins actually can get folded and cut by later structures. As I say, they're not you can get very late stage fault offsets in Segovia, but they're after all the mineralization, so they'll drop a block, so you can a mine level can suddenly change. But we're talking more about that doesn't control the ore chutes. It's that can offset the mine, but it's the structural control, and they tend to be similar control. So we're looking at trying to define that for planning the next phase of drilling.
But so most holes for you though are hitting structure, but only a minority of them carries the headline grade. Essentially, how come? What's the interpretation of that?
That we've not, because the holes were widely spaced. So we're drilling a plus kilometer, 2 kilometer vein system. So within that, the ore chute might be a few hundred meters. So it's the first important result was to actually confirm that the veins exist on the property. That was an unknown before. In typical widths and with typical mineralization. The next phase is to determine if and where there are high-grade ore chutes in the veins. So that will require infill drilling, looking at interpreting the structure and the geochemistry to see if that gives us any vectors, such as higher grades of lead and zinc or higher grades of silver. We do have certain higher grades of silver, and to target the next holes on that basis.
Are those pathfinders for you, by the way? Like the base metals and maybe even the silver, is that a pathfinder for gold? Is that the case for Segovia, and is that something you can use for the next program?
Yes, they go together, yeah. So we can use that, yeah. The presence of high silver in the veins is very significant, yeah. Especially when the run up in silver price. Yeah.
What would you do? Hindsight is 2020, but what would you do differently if anything, if you could go back to, let's say, just before you started this program, which I think was sometime in maybe mid 2025? What would you do differently if you go back now?
I don't think I would do anything differently. The program was done systematically with soil and outcrop sampling, grab sampling on surface and mapping, and then some geophysics and interpretation of the structures and projecting structures in. And it's I don't think I would have changed anything. No, as I say, it was a systematic program, and it's achieved its first objective, which was to confirm the presence of veins on the property and continuing to depth. So these are big structures. We've got 1,000, 2,000 meter plus strike length to them, and we know that they continue to 300 or more meters depth. So we're in major structures here. And if you look at Segovia, if you look at, for example, press releases, there's a lot of holes don't actually hit. You'll see, certainly when I was writing press releases for the previous company, there'd be a list of intersections, but then there'd be a list at the bottom, holes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 did not return significant value. So there's a lot of lower grade as well as the high grade splashy samples. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe if I can add, if we look at the region, Aris mining, Segovia project, their average, it's 10 grams per ton, right? If you look at Summer Gold, that it's on other producers, it's between 6 or 8 grams per ton. So us, like we said since the beginning, we're not looking to reinvent the wheel. We know how Aris and before, how they were drilling, how many meters, we know all that. And like Dr. Stewart is saying, it's not homogenic values. So for us, I agree with Dr. Stewart. I will not have changed nothing. We have found the veins. Now it's to do systematic work until finding the horseshoe. And in Segovia, what we know, it's 50% of the production of Aris is coming from artisanal miners, and we already have artisanal miners into our asset. So if we find the horseshoe, it will be it's an easy path for them to create a shaft and go start a little production. And I mean, we will have way more information. We will be able to do a chamber and infill drilling. So it's just to continue. And I think naturally it will make sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair point. I think looking at what you drilled, it was 12 holes, 7 platforms, and I think 5 of the 7 platforms returned intercepts that were mineralized. I think 4 of those were significant intercepts, if I'm not mistaken. Is that
I will say 2 were significant, like 9 grams per ton equivalent and 9.8. I mean, it's economical. The other one was 3 grams per ton equivalent, and another one like 1.
Yeah.
But that is mineralized. Yeah, sorry.
What Dr. Stewart, is that a typical hit rate for is that how Segovia was drilling it at the beginning at first, or would you have expected a higher, lower hit rate?
I'd say it's a pretty good hit rate for a first pass program in a new area.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Obviously, Segovia is a known deposit, so they know where the ore shoots are, so they're drilling obviously targets those directly.
Yeah.
On the known veins, so it's not quite comparable. This is a first time it's been drilled. It's virgin block of ground.
Yeah.
So it's I think we've got mineralization in 4 holes and significant economic grades in 2 holes. I think that's pretty good for a start.
And also, Antonio, maybe if we can add what we really like, it's the project Segovia of Aris mining, the vein S, they are mining at 300 meters south of us, right? So they are mining going northeast into, at one point, it arrived to our asset, Tahami South. So they are not so far. They were continuous to them. So it's just to find the horseshoe.
Right. Yeah. With hindsight is 2020, as we said, the future is a little bit less certain than that. What are you going to do differently, if anything, in the future? Like, does this drilling change anything about your vectoring mechanism, or how are you going to approach this next drill program?
So right now, the good thing, it's the hard part in a business and exploration, it's to find the right asset and the right team. And we're lucky we have Dr. Stewart, we have Ricardo Serra, we have other people, an amazing team. That's the hard part. When you have that, you go get the cash. We're fully financed. Right now, we want to grow. Okay, right now, like I told, we're only exploring. We have only kind of explored 300 hectares of all our portfolio. We will explore the porphyry, other vein system. We have other assets like our press release. We have Tahami Southeast also, which has the other vein system extension thesis from Aris mining. So that's our game plan. It's to grow exploration, more targets, and do systematic drilling. At the end, it's not so complicated. The science is there. The experience is there in our team, so it's to do the work and make a great discovery. And after that, the show goes on, no?
How many meters are going to go to step outs on the proven veins versus step outs versus what you have on the veins that you found?
Yeah, right now it's still in interpretation. Right now we're finalizing some work like geophysics, some geochem, also interpretation modeling. So we think for now a round number, maybe another 5,000 meters for Tahami South and 10,000 meters for the Porphyrian vein system in Tahami Center. So that will be a round number we would like to start drilling in April this year.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Any idea for depth? How deep do you want to drill it?
Not yet. Maybe Dr. Stewart has an idea, but we are still in, let's say, communication, let's say brainstorming. But maybe Dr. Stewart, do you have an idea what depth we would like to go?
We haven't defined how deep yet. The preference would be for shallower rather than deeper because it saves meters. The issue with drilling veins is you have to drill a lot of wall rock, host rock to actually get to your target. So now that we know the geometry and where they actually occur is better defined, we can try and put platforms closer to the targets to save drilling the country rock, the host rock, and get better bang for our buck that way.
But you've already determined that you want to drill 15,000 meters. Where does that number come from? Why do you think that's enough? And what would that be trying to prove?
So with the veins, we started with 5,000 meters. You have to dance with the music. Sometime you drill, you see something, you want to continue. Maybe you find a secondary veins. So we're still it's not like definition resources. It's still discovery, exploration, early stage. So we dance with the music. When a hole we see things we like, sometimes we continue another 50 meters. So it's round numbers. I think with 15,000 meters, it's enough as the second drilling campaign to, let's say, have way more information, creation of value if it's good. So we will start with that, but it doesn't mean that we will not increase a drilling campaign on Tahami South or Tahami Center. It's an open drilling campaign, let's say.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The ballpark number 5,000 meters, that would give us 20 holes at 250 meters. Some might be longer, some might be shorter, but as an approximate number to do the follow-up program with.
Yeah, that's fair. And I'm sure you'll be back, and we'll be having more conversations over time to discuss how that number might evolve. The assay results took a lot longer than initially expected, or that was my expectation at least. I thought you would have them way earlier. I thought even maybe kind of Q3, early Q4 last year. They ended up coming up in January. What happened?
By two things. First, we had a little problem with the drilling. It means we started late and we had a lot of, let's say, maintenance hours, okay, in the last campaign. Second thing, with the lab, normally gold and silver, it's 5 to 7 working days. And the polymetallic, let's say multi-element, it's 30 days, working days. Sometimes the lab tell you that, but they are late. It's like everything in life. So we have been late on the drilling. We had some problem, which we fixed. And also we have been late on with the lab results. So that's part of why it took so long. Hopefully, let's say with every tune-up we have made in the company, I like to do that, a brainstorm at the end of the year and beginning of the year to say, okay, what went good, what went bad, what we should improve, and definitively the ROP from the drilling and the assays result should be faster this year with the mechanisms we have implemented in the company.
Right. Okay. So what does that mean this time in terms of assays? You said April, you want to go back to drilling. So when do we see some assays?
Yeah, so that part also, you never know if you're going to do partial holes, how do you say, publication or full campaign. It's a mix of things. It depends on the result also, depends on many things. because you have the exploration campaign, but you have the capital market side also. There is sellers, buyers. You need to manage that. For me, it's an orchestra. So basically, we are looking to start April this year, the two drilling campaign, the veins and the porphyry. After that, definitively the porphyry, it's going to take longer to take the result because normally the hole will be longer, sorry. And also we need multi-element because we're looking for copper, molybdenum, and gold. So it's longer with the lab. That said, I really hope we can do partial result on the way to make sure the investors and public can follow, let's say, what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's going to be enough drilling to know whether the target is that initial thesis, whether it is the continuation of Segovia, whether it is worth it to put extra money in it, or is this still going to be too early to tell after this program?
We have two type of deposit, and I will let Dr. Stewart. I think the veins, like 5,000 meters, it's not going to be enough. Maybe it's going to be enough for a good discovery, like a horseshoe, a high-grade gold zone. Yes, that's a potential, but it's not going to be enough to, let's say, okay, we have a business plan to go. Like if we look at Segovia Aris mining project, it's 5,000 hectares, and they have drill, I will say, an average of 600,000 meters over years. Right now, if you took the 300 hectares of 5,000 hectares, you have a ratio there, like which it's approximately 6%, 6% of the 600,000 meters. So just to give you an idea, we're looking to drill way more than the 5,000 meters for the veins. And for the porphyry, what I did understand from Dr. Stewart, I will let him talk, but it takes way more drilling if it's mineralized well and we like what we see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dr. Stewart, is that what do you want to add to that?
Yeah, the drilling will be to define and hopefully identify an ore shoot. It certainly won't be enough it'll need a lot more to define resources. But the objective will be to get enough encouragement and hopefully, as I say, identify the location of an ore shoot to justify doing further drilling. In terms of the porphyry, that's a very significant discovery. This area was not known for copper before, so that opens up a second metal and a second target for the company. Mm-hmm. That will be the first phase of drilling. Will basically be a discovery drilling program to determine the grades and to a certain extent the continuity of it. And if that's successful, then that will need a lot more drilling to actually define a resource on it.
Well, I'm really thinking about the amount of time as well as drilling, therefore money, that it might take you to get to something more tangible, like a resource. And I understand it's too early to give a definitive date right now, but when do you think you might have a resource? Like, is that even something your guys are thinking about right now, or is it too early to talk about? Is it something we see in 2027, or is that too early?
I'd say it's too early just now to talk about a resource. We're at the discovery phase just now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, it's really too early. Right now, we're testing system, basically, Antonio, and we're going to test more system. We have 24,000 hectares. What Dr. Stewart was explaining me, it's a porphyry can come with clusters. It doesn't mean we have only one porphyry. Maybe we have more. We still need to prospect. We only have prospect 1,200 hectares of 24,000 hectares of Segovia. So we will have more targets for sure on the way. We will go test as soon as possible the targets, and we hope to have significant discovery. As soon as we have significant discovery, we can integrate more systematic drilling to build blocks of resources and reserve. But like Dr. Stewart said, we're really not there right now to think about the calculation of resources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, phase we're at just now is very much the discovery phase. In the porphyry, we've identified it on surface. Now we need to do the first stage of drilling to see what the grades are and to prove continuity in it.
Have you guys spoken to Aris recently? Which again, this is opinion, not fact, but to me, they seem like one of the few potential partners here later down the road. So, if you have spoken to them, what are they telling you about what you have so far after having seen these results?
Yeah, I mean, in Colombia, it's a small world. Everybody know each other. I will say that I think every companies in Colombia, we are very close or in good terms, let's say, because we're not so many right now. We're tens listed company. In the past, there were way more in the last bull market. We will see with the election this year if it's going back right. I'm pretty sure we'll see many juniors coming. But that said, like with Aris, we have an LT conversation. I mean, they are helpful. They want us to have success. They didn't give us their opinion on what we have or what they think we have. I think they are probably following what we're doing. We're getting inspired with their information, public information, and sometimes we have little internal conversation. But for now, it's preliminary conversation. But definitively, I think it's if we have enough resources on the way. They still have 5 million ounces, but it's still open. It was a 13.8 million ounces deposit. If you look at the last 150 years, they have not Aris, but this mine has mined more than 8 million ounces. It's their cash cow for the moment. They are working on other projects to bring it to production. They are saying that they want to go to 1 million ounces yearly. So if we have success, it will be probably a conversation in the future to expanding maybe their production with us.
Mm-hmm. Colombia is a small world, and you talk about production, which reminds me of your LOI that you had with Denarius, which seems to have fallen through. What happened there?
There is different stories, right? It depends which side are you. But I think we had the great opportunity and a great relation with the group of guys who sold Grand Colombia Gold to Aris Mining. So basically, we had a conversation and they say, Alex, we think in Quimbaya, you already have artisanal miners and we can help you formalizing this group and basically you will become a producer without even any resources. And we have to remember that Grand Colombia Gold, now Aris Mining Segovia project, was Frontino Gold before, the British company. They give it back to the government. It has a debt for the pension funds. And the group of Grand Colombia Gold took it back, paid the debt for the pensions fund, and built back the resources and built back the production from an historical mine. So they know how to do it. They know that you don't need to drill all your life to become a producer. You can go on the way. That said, on the way, after 3 months of negotiation, advancing the thing, for us, the numbers were not great. I didn't want to kill the upside of Quimbaya. And I think for them, the numbers were not high enough. So basically, it terminated in a very fast way without any big reason. Just we didn't arrive to the same terms.
Mm-hmm. So what do you want to do with that program now? Do you want to run it yourself, find a new partner, pause, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I think we will do it by ourselves. I'm not saying that we have more experience than the group that they wanted to partner with us, but they will have to take 50% if it's not more. It's a lot, right, in this business. So we're doing it by ourselves, step by step. There is a process formalization program. It can take between 6 to 8 months per formalization. Also, there is an education and a process with the government and social part. So we're on it right now. We don't promote it because it's not something secure or it's going to work, but we're on it. And if it's working, definitively, Quimbaya will start to have production.
How is that influencing your relationship with the locals, if anything, though? I mean, the fact that it's going to be maybe a little bit slower than initially expected, how's that going to influence your relationship?
I think formalization, it's a great model and it's very good for the social because at the end, like these artisanal miners, if you formalize them, they become legal and they can sell their ore or their gold, silver, whatever at a higher price. Normally, they make more money legalized than illegal. So that's one good thing. It's helping the area. Everybody's winning more because all the providers around the mining industry in Segovia, it's not 20%, it's 100%. Okay, it's a mining town, a mining district. And yeah, and also what's happening when they formalize and they grow, and if it's doing well, the company has always the right to help them to grow, right? Like Quimbaya can invest in formalization, invest in their infrastructure to make them bigger. So it's kind of a snowball positive effect. It's definitively helping a lot on the social part, which it's one of the most important part in Colombia. You can have the best deposit in the world if you don't have the social and the quality relation. Unfortunately, you will not open a mine.
Yeah, that's right, and that's where I'm coming from with that question. When I'm asking about how does the fact that it's going to be slower than expected, is that a negative for the community and for your relationship with the locals?
No, it's not going to be negative. It's the normal process. Okay, yeah, for sure. Some people they have more experience, they can go a little faster. But even with Denarius joint venture, it will not have been something we make in 2 months. It takes a little more time, and also there is some artisanal miners they want to be formalized. Other one they don't want to be formalized, not necessarily because it's not good. They can be scared. They don't know if it's good for them or no. So there is an education relation process. But if it's taking more time, it's not going to affect nothing in our social relation.
Mm-hmm. What
Yeah,
was yeah.
just if I could add to that, it gives the artisanal miners some security of title as well for their operations, and by formalising them rather than being illegal operators. At any moment, the government could decide to clamp down on illegal operations, and they're out of business. So it works for both parties.
Yeah. What's how's that relationship developing now? I mean, after having drilled for the first time on the package and having done a little bit of land disturbance and whatnot, what's the yeah, how's the relationship now? What questions are they asking? Yeah, how's that going?
Yeah, we have a team of social in Quimbaya, like every company in Colombia, to get your exploration going, to get your production going. It's part of the licensing. You have a social part. So us, we're doing definitively everything legal part on the social, but we're doing more than that. Where all our employees are from the region, all our providers are from the region. So we are participating with everybody around. I will say that I think people appreciate a lot Quimbaya because if you look in Segovia, we're the only explorer. If you look in Colombia over the last 5 years, basically you have the producers, but the new company, early stage opportunity, we're the only one. So we're creating job, we're creating value for the area. So we're having a good image and we hope we're going to continue. And if we can distribute more, give more, we will do it.
Right. Okay. Well, this new program that you have coming up in April again is going to be much larger than the first one. What do you need any additional permits, either from the government or any other agreements with the locals?
The agreements with the locals all the time, which it's already all done. And after that, the real permit for exploration, it's the water permits. And that takes time. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's complicated, but it's not a bottleneck. The worst case scenario, we send a truck tank, water tank, and we do our drilling, which it's not a big cost, honestly. It's not significant. So if we don't have the permits for any area into our asset to drill the water permits, we just send a water truck. So it doesn't affect us to continue our game plan.
Right. How are things going in Colombia as a whole? Politics, elections, and everything else. What's changed here over the last couple of months since we last spoke?
Yeah, right now the election are coming up. First, in March is going to be the Congress, which will give a big idea because in Colombia you have the Congress, you have the president, and you have the court, which Congress has a big power, court too. So even with any president, I mean, he has a limited power at one point. So that's what we like about Colombia. Uh, right now, Congress in March, after that, June, August, 2 rounds for presidential. I will say, like, if I'm looking over the last 4 years that we had a left government, I have seen a lot of licensing happening. So it didn't be a challenge for, I think, anyone in Colombia. Maybe it has been a challenge to raise money for because of uncertainty, like what happened with Venezuela, what happened with the president in Colombia, with President Trump. But that said, I think this year, from my experience, it can be a big game changer for Colombia and also for the mining space because if it's going with the government pro mining, it's a big revenue for the government, the canon fees, the royalties. So it's it has to be pushed on a good way to create a lot of value for the Colombian country.
Hmm. And so the expectation is for a new government to come in now with these elections then.
Yes, and like I'm saying, even the left government from the past, from these last few years, was not a bottleneck for no one that I know in Colombia. Like if you look at Marmato, they got permitting. Marmato, by the way, it's Dr. Stewart that defined the 15 million ounces there. It's been a long time. It's a mine with artisanal miners, and it's been across many foreign companies. They were never able to open a mine there. Right now, Aris Mining it's doing it, so that's amazing. B2 Gold, Gramalote was Anglo-Ashanti 50-50. They were not able, for 10 years, they were asking to open a mine there, and they got the permit in the last 3 years. So we have seen a lot of positive thing. I don't know what Dr. Stewart, what do you think about the mining sector with the regulation? Do you see any blockage with any other companies maybe that you know?
It's been moving ahead. As you say, Marmata's been permitted, Segovia's been modernized and expanded the plant, Buritic has been constructed, a number of smaller mines have gone into operation. So the headlines catch, some of the projects like Quebradona that have had not been permitted. But in general, it's moving forward. The expectation is that Colombia will follow the general trend of Latin America, and a more right-wing president will get elected. But it's not necessarily the present government. It's actually mining has generally moved ahead with the present government.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's been a good overview. It seems like there's a lot of moving parts here at Aris, and you're going to be doing a lot of things over the next couple of months. And again, I'm sure I'll be with you along the way and doing some interviews as that's happening. Maybe let's do a bit of a catalyst summary here for the calendar. Talk to me month by month. What else is going to happen for the rest of 2026? So March is coming right up. What happens in March, then April, and so on?
Yeah. So February, March, let's say we're gonna finalize geophysics and geochem work on Tahami Center, Tahami South, interpretation, and basically building our new drill targets, which we aim to start in April. That's for March. Also, when we're gonna start drilling in April, the two targets, porphyry and veins, we will send a crew to prospect more area in Segovia. So basically, they will do mapping, geochem. If we find something interesting, we can send geophysics and more intense systematic campaign. So that's one part. So we're gonna drill and we're gonna start continue prospecting in the area. So that's April. If we look, I don't know how many rigs we will start with. if we like what we see, we will probably send more rigs because at the end, the time is it's key too. No, we don't have all our life to define it. So after that, I will say like May, we will continue drilling and maybe probably having more targets on the way. After that, June, July, which is summertime, we should start to at least receive the first assays. And probably like July, let's say September should be a lot of release on the drilling campaign, and depends on what's happening. If we have a discovery, I have seen it before, right? The stock can go very high and we can have a lot of interest for more financing to put more rigs to accelerate more. It's like a snowball effect. When it's going good, it's going good. So I will say that's our game plan over the next 6 months. I don't want to go forward because I feel this exploration, early stage discovery, it's an adventure. It's really hard to have a long-term plan. You have to focus step by step, and one step can change your life for the company if you have the right results. So that's where we are. So what should expect? It's preparation, good work, and results from the next drilling campaign over the next 6 months.
Yeah. Well, it is. That's a very good overview. I see you're also going to be talking about that more. I see you've just recently signed a marketing contract. Seems like it's going to be the contract you signed is a $10,000 contract a month. What's the goal there? Is that going to be the majority of your marketing spend? What are the deliverables? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, in the company right now, basically the trading it's a majority organic, right? We have some contracts with CEO.ca, Northern Mining, now Red Cloud, which are not big contract if you look at a budget, a real good big marketing budget. So right now we're still organically. We're looking to make more market awareness, but we're conscious also that a lot of people knows Quimbaya, a lot of people know Aris, and we are like at the end, like everybody has run over $20, right? So we're 30 cents, 35 cents. So for somebody who's looking for big upside, more risky, there's not so many in Colombia, I will say. So we're looking to keep the public informed, but for now we don't have any. We think with the result, it will go itself if the results are positive. People at the end, you can say what you're doing. People wants to see the fact and the result. So maybe by the, let's say, second half of this year, probably more marketing tools and promotion tools to make sure that people understand what we have.
Yeah. How much money are you budgeting for, let's call it G&A, but just non-exploration expenses as a whole?
Yeah. Also, we try to have a ratio 25-75. Okay. That's kind of, if we look at the mining explorer culture, like G&A marketing, all this maintenance costs 25%, 75% in exploration. That's what we try to aim. Right now we are in that range, so that's good. It can always improve bigger the campaign is. More you drill, bigger your budget on exploration are high, so it's helping to have better ratio. But I will say that's the ratio we're looking at.
Right. Okay. You on the topic of money, the last MD&A that you had says that there was you call it a business compromise, which costed you almost $200,000. What happened there? What's the compromise?
Yeah, so we live in 2026. There is internet scammers. So basically, unfortunately, in a chain of email with lawyers and everything and payment for some asset, somebody integrate that chains of email, and we got scammed there by doing a transfer. So that's what happened. We have put way more securities and, let's say, structure to make sure we don't repeat these mistakes. And but I heard also that not only in the mining sector, lawyers, it's contagious. Like it's popular. Like we're not the only one who's getting scammed by the technology.
Could you like get the money back, or what would that? I mean,
No,
I suppose you've informed
yeah.
the authorities, but yeah.
Yeah, we informed the authorities in US, in Colombia, everything. We did all the process, but now when the money is gone, honestly, your chance to get it back is very complicated. I think the authorities has to improve on this way, and it's gonna take time, but they're gonna get there. We're not the only one.
Yeah. Yeah, that is unfortunate. I mean, it is a lot of money after all. On what you said earlier, I'd made a note to talk about it. So just doing a bit of housekeeping here toward the end. I remember you'd issued close to 4 million shares at 30 cents to pay for drilling, essentially. When
Yeah.
does that become free? Is that locked up? And what do you think the drillers are planning with those shares?
No, it's already free trading. So what I know from the drillers, I'm very close to them. They asked me to drill for more shares. I said, unfortunately, the next campaign I cannot drill for more shares because I think the price is very low. Okay, where I don't want to dilute the company. I'm still the good thing in Quimbaya is the shareholders and the management were very aligned. We're working for the evaluation of the shares. So I told them that we're not going to be able for this campaign to drill for shares at this price. But basically, they have their first drilling campaign in shares, and for the moment, they still keep it and they are looking for the long term. If we look at the peers and the comparables, we're still the less evaluated in Colombia. We have a good cash position, 12 million. So I will say our cash is de-risk. So everybody thinks that if we're lucky or if we have the right result, we should have a re-rate. So for the moment,
Hmm.
we are patient. We need results, but at the end, Warren Buffett he become rich how to buy something that is underevaluated and you keep it quiet. If we look at the insiders, we're all buying. So that's what we're doing. We're accumulating at this level and oversold, and after that, let's see the re-rating.
Yeah. I'm not sure he did it in junior mining though. But the
I'm not
point
sure
is
too.
that the on the topic of shares, Alexandra, you've extended some of the warrants by a year. You said you hold a large portion of that. What prompted that decision? What happened there? Why extend the warrants?
Yeah, so there was a financing at 50 cents with the half warrant at 75 cents, which it's very not significant. It's 1.3 million warrants. So they were from last year, we extended for 1 year because after that we gave a 3 years warrant to at 60 cents to strategic investor. So we wanted to be fair with the people. And yeah, so right now, this year, the 75 warrants will all expire and the 40 cents warrant Q1 next year will all expire. After that, we will have the 60 cents and the $1 in 2028. So it's still far. I'm not expecting to see any exercise for a moment short term.
Right. Yeah. Okay. You've also seemed to have renegotiated your property payment terms, or at least the amount. The price has dropped by about 30%, which sounds great on surface. But what's really going on there? Why was the vendor willing to drop their prices?
Like what we have to understand in Colombia for the last 4 years, before the gold went up, it was dead market. I mean, you only had the big guys, the big producers, like example, Freeport got in, B2Gold bought from Anglo Ashanti, Gramalote, Aris Mining, Neil Wooder got in, Frank Juster got in Giant Copper. Tiger Gold now bought the deal recycle asset from the Australian company. Aris Sussman got in Serafino with Denarius. So basically, there was no one for early stage project. And if you were going on the street, bankers to raise money, it was impossible. Us, we have raised 15 million with friends and family and private investors for many years, which have gave us the power or the opportunity to buy great localization, brownfield, because there is already historical mines at a very decent price, and there was no competition. If we look today, there is a lineup in Colombia for looking for project, which all the prices of asset has went up. And I cannot imagine if a right government's going on, coming in, we should see an increase. So I think it's part of our strategy. Huh? We know what we're doing here. I have seen groups of people creating billions of dollars over the last decade, and it's always the same groups in Colombia. So there is a recipe, and us, we're looking to repeat it. And we had the chance to negotiate good deals because timing was there, and we had renegotiating in our favor.
Right. And that's all part of the like that's the entire expense that you have to pay right now, or what does that look like for your ground? Like, what's the annual cost?
Yeah, so first we have no debt, everything is paid, all our asset, no more payments, everything. Canon fees, it's $10 per hectares, but you have, let's say, application, title exploration, and in production, so it's different cost. Us, we're managing all that very, let's say, optimized and smartly. Our costs right now, it's probably $100,000 US per year to maintain the Canon fees and everything. So we have a very efficient management cost for that.
So what does that come down to? Like everything that's not drilling, how much money are you gonna of the money they have right now? How much money are you gonna spend over the next year?
Asset that we're not drilling, it's a good question. I will say at least 500,000, if it's not more, maybe 500,000, 1 million to prospect and to send the crew and to find targets. Because we have an advantage also in Colombia and even more in Segovia. There is no winter and there is 50 million people more. So when there is gold or mineralization, you just have to follow the artisanal miners. And after that, you have to define if the potential is big enough, the scale is big enough to become a next level project.
Mm-hmm. And so out of the total money that you spend, you said you're targeting kind of 20-30% of that to go to non-exploration expenses, meaning what, 2.5-3 million bucks for the year, so like 250-300 grand a month. Is that about right?
Yeah, I would say like it depends on the month. Let's say our burn rate, I will say salaries, infrastructure, logistic, everything should be 200,000 a month. Okay, because even if you go explore, you need camp, you need cars, you need this, you need insurance, you need food, so all this part costs money. We have more than 30 employees right now, and we're looking to grow to expand our team also. So yeah, I will say like a 200,000-300,000 a month, and probably a 500,000 a month plus in exploration, drilling or geophysics or assays or lab will make sense.
Yeah. All right. Good. Well, good, gentlemen. It's been over an hour now, so I'll start working toward wrapping it up. Same question as I asked you last time. What's been the most fair criticism that you've received of Quimbaya since the last time we spoke?
The worst criticism or
the most fair one? Yeah, what you think is a fair criticism?
Yeah, Dr. Stewart, what do you have heard?
I think the expectation was for higher gold grades in the veins, and as we said, it's not easy drilling veins, and especially as the ore is generally not uniform, it occurs in chutes. So important result was actually defining the presence of the veins and with economic grades in some of the holes going forward. But I think the market was expecting bigger numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I will go with Stuart on that. Like expectations were very high, and for us internally, we have delivered because we have found the veins extension, but also we have bring on the table a porphyry, copper, moly, gold deposit, which we never talked about before, which can be way bigger than the veins. So it depends on the perception, but definitively the result of the first drilling campaign were not good enough from the expectation. That's the biggest criticism that I have received too.
What's your biggest criticism of me, gentlemen? What did you come here hoping to talk about that I've failed to bring up?
Honestly, I think it was a very good interview always, Antonio. You know what you're doing. That's great. And no, I think we have talked about everything. Right now, it's just to deliver, continue to do the good work. First, the people, second, the asset, third, the money, and you do the work. After that, you need little luck also in this industry. If it was not luck, you just have to put the technology and everybody will find everything everywhere. So right now, we just need the luck.
Mm-hmm. That's fair enough. Dr. Stewart, anything you want to add here at the end?
No, just to emphasize I think the discovery of the porphyry is underappreciated. I don't think the market has understood the significance of that yet. That's a very important new asset that wasn't part of the original portfolio. It was unexpected, to be honest. And it's not a copper district, so it opens up a whole new, we've got a new metal, a new target. And if we get some good intersections, I think that could be a real game changer.
That's a good note to end it on. I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch of stuff, but I also hope people listening and watching will let me know. If anyone who's listening or watching thinks I'm missing something, please let me know. I will ask it in our next conversation. But yeah, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time today.
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
And as always, thanks to everyone for watching Resource Talks. I have a couple of more things to say, though. The fact that this company was interviewed here today does not mean that they are necessarily a good or a bad company. I'm not here to endorse nor attack anyone. I am simply here to ask some questions. If you find that I have failed in asking a question that you would have liked to hear an answer to, which will happen as I'm not an experienced interviewer, please let me know and I will try to correct that mistake in a future interview. As mentioned at the beginning, please understand that mineral exploration and development is an extremely risky business. Losing money is the norm and should be the expectation. This is a very complex sector, and the performance of individual companies typically depends on many different moving particles, including company-specific factors like geology, financing ability, and many others, really, as well as particles that are outside of the company's control, like geopolitics, macroeconomics, commodity prices, and many more, most of which are nearly impossible to fully understand. Moreover, these companies that typically get interviewed on Resource Talks are in the pre-revenue stage, which means they rely on the public markets for the financing of their operations, which could result in shareholder dilution. Furthermore, as a general rule of thumb, you'll be better off understanding that all company communications online, albeit this interview or their website and their presentation and their social media accounts, or even the social media accounts which you thought were your friends and then told you about a stock, everything really that these companies do is intended as marketing. And although I do not make buy or sell recommendations because there is a clear conflict of interest given the nature of my business, many out there do. And you should be aware of that inherent bias and you should be careful out there. That bias is not always going to be clearly disclosed with everyone out there. So it is safer for you anytime you're watching any type of company specific content to approach it with a dose of skepticism and assume that the party telling you about it is biased in at least some shape or form, because there will always be a bias. Again, albeit clear or not. So always ask yourself what the incentive of your counterparty is and never rely on them regardless of their incentives, but instead double check if what they're saying is true, again, by using setterplus.ca. The fact that I have no idea what I'm doing should already be clear to you at this point. I am not saying this to make jokes or laugh with myself. I just simply do not have a long enough track record of consistent investment profits. So I should under no circumstances be considered an authority on anything. Again, although this may sound amusing to you, believe me, it is not amusing and it is not intended as a joke. I'm simply pointing out a fact and warning you not to rely on anything I do or say. Unfortunately, at least to my understanding, nobody out there has any special abilities. The CEOs do not possess any superior knowledge, and they cannot know about what will go up, what will go down, or what will go in circles. Some people even believe that to be rule number one on Wall Street. Nobody really knows. None of us know whether any of the company's activities will result in a success, again, given that we're talking about high-risk activities where most of the times it ends in failure. So unfortunately, try as I may, I won't always catch all red flags or all challenges with the companies. So even if I did ask a few tough questions in here, don't rely on this being all of the tough questions. Again, these are complicated startups with many moving parts, and I am conflicted given the nature of this business. Therefore, I cannot guarantee the quality of anything presented in this video, and you cannot hold me responsible for any losses or damages stemming from the way you decide to use this interview. Viewers, listeners, and readers acknowledge and agree that the information presented herein did not constitute a solicitation or an offer to buy or sell any security or investment or to participate in any trading strategy. Resource Talks and all parties involved in the management of the business strictly disclaim any and all liability for losses and or damages, whether direct, indirect, special, or consequential, or other consequences, however so caused, arising out of any use or reproduction of the content published by Resource Talks, or any decision made or action taken in reliance upon it. By consuming this content, all consumers vow to release Resource Talks and all parties involved in the management of the business from all claims, proceedings, or consequences. This is all to say, I know it's a lot of lawyer talk, but this is all to say that you shouldn't blindly trust me or anybody on the internet, and you should do your own research. Once again, social media is meant for entertainment. It is setterplus.ca where you do your research. That's where you'll find the company's official filings, and I encourage you to read and analyze the Management Information Circular, the financial statements, the Management Discussion and Analysis, and whenever available, the NI 43-101 technical documents. If you don't understand everything in those documents, the chances of you losing money are even higher than they normally are in this space. And as mentioned earlier, the chances of even the best analysts in this sector losing money are extremely high, since this is venture capital and it is not for everybody. I'll leave you with one of Charlie Munger's quotes, which I wish I had listened to more often earlier on, which says, quote, "If you don't understand it, don't do it."